Well, it's been a while since last video. The second part came out much earlier than I expected. I got a lot of support from the last video and thanks for that. Welcome to the second episode of building a passing tower. If you haven't watched the first episode yet, I recommend watching it first. Let's begin it. After the first episode, several new things happened regarding this tower. I wanted it to go to Zone 9B, however it was stated recently that the slots are being confirmed in the end of January. I got a bit disappointed, since I'm not finishing the tower and editing third episode in a month. After some research, I found out that I could aim for Zone 1B. You might be thinking that they accept only water and industrial themed towers, like I did. But apparently they accept any tower from whitelist, meaning ToATM can compete. But of course it won't be so easy, so I have to log in. I finally opened a place for ToATM, and you can even leave your feedback. Make sure to follow the thread, because there's a lot to do. I always post building progress, you can leave feedback to make my tower better, and you can even talk to me. I highly appreciate people who follow ToATM thread. Part limit was expanded to 7,500, which is a really good thing for me. But I'm afraid it might not be enough for me. I really should optimize it. I'm planning to submit ToATM in at least 3 games. JToH, Another Towers of Stupidity, and Democratically Elected Towers of Hell. And that should be it, so let's get to the building part. Floor 5 starts with 3 kickoff assigned.
Floor by the fun of seals. It's time for Inferno. You should suffer, and I want to see you scream and cry.
The entire floor goes around one big pole in the middle. It serves as a mocking of my also crushing tower, which is fully based around one big pole, in which Dumb John felt himself like a stripper. Anyways, the floor starts normally with some random purism. I made a jump with weird usage of morph platforms. As you jump on it, the morph platform beneath you turns into 2 walls between which you should squeeze. The next jump is very fast paced. You need to wrap on double jump, then wrap to wall glide. Dismount from wall glide and press pause gravity button, complete flip maze and find button that activates exit. And you have to do all that in one go. Perhaps my description of this jump is confusing, so let me show it. I made a mini puzzle with pushbox and zero gravity area. You spawn a pushbox, which is roped to the cylinder. If you push pushbox with some force, it will fly around and press the button. This puzzle is really simple and easy, serves as a mini break. Then I decided to make a funny usage of flip swing. Can you guess what happens? Yeah, I don't know anymore. I built some insanely cramped gameplay for no reason whatsoever. Also, I want to mention that making field towers is a very draining task. I mean, it's not necessary, but still is a very tiring job. I made this part of gameplay mostly using Archimedes and few cylinders. I low-key like these jumps. I polished and nerfed this section a bit before moving on. I built yet another big anti-cheese glass barrier, a curvy one. I thought that more platforms need to be used more, so I put one there. One of the obstacles being a door. After some consideration, I made this section with no jump. This part of section have undergone many changes. I made it a wacky staircase first, but it was horrible. Then I wanted it to be a disappearing cylinder, but it required some useless scripting for my custom outline turn red. Took a while, but it didn't work. But then I just made a micro maze, since that's the only thing that would work. Another pure structure thing, where you are required to do a camera control jump. I made a random jump where you have to get button and double jump back. I got a funny idea, so I expanded the cylinder in the middle with a small room inside it. You'll see what I came up with later. I'll be honest, I ran out of every good gameplay idea at first layer of floor 5. I might completely revamp it later, I sorta hate it. So yeah, I added this lame jump, which is a jump from conveyor to mid-air flip. Though it sounds somewhat fun, I despise this jump with all my inner hatred. More and more glass barriers. There's so much of glass barriers in this tower, literally garden of glass. I really had no idea how to fill the remaining empty space, so I added a gravity button thing. This one may seem confusing, but I hopefully made a clear routing. And to finish first layer, I used that pole in the middle. I started implementing the funny thing that I was talking about earlier, but I needed to make a pushbox mechanism for it to work, so it took a while. Sometimes I feel like I'm going through too much trouble just for one stupid joke. Anyways, try to get the reference ahead. Now the first layer has been finished. All that remains in the first half is the second layer of floor 5. This time I had a lot of gameplay ideas, so hopefully it should turn out well. I'll be honest, these jumps are nowhere near challenging difficulty. Most of the jumps that seem cool are actually intense or remorsels. In fact, they're even insane to extreme difficulty spikes. So that's the reason why I should follow my feedback thread to help me with balancing and polishing. Back to the process. I added a wall guide and you have to dismount and touch the vine ahead. I don't know why, but I wanted the vine to have thickness of 0.2 studs at first. I made it 1.3 studs later. Take a look. Another appearance of zero gravity area, basic one as well. You spawn a pushbox while being on vine, and then you should push it with a certain angle so it presses the button. After that I came up with a basic yet nice structure idea. I don't know how to describe it, let's just say a wall with turns and cylinders. When it comes to building structures, I'm either doing it really well or making a pure abomination. Anyways, here's the jump. I really like it for some reason. I use spinners very rarely, and here's one of the fewest. I got an idea to use float zone for a speedrunning section, like on floor 2. Basically you ride a pushbox on a float zone, and then rush to the end to stop pushbox before it's too late. I did some pipe design for those float zones. It should turn out good. Oh my goodness gracious. What the hell is this? I quickly updated the structuring of pipes. Maybe I should have left the previous pipe design, because that would be very funny. I placed the button over here, and after some time the pushbox will press it. If this button is pressed, you won't be able to progress further. So yeah, I want player to push it off, so the pushbox won't press this button. However, not everything always goes according to plan. You physically aren't able to push it off, and trust me, I tried everything to solve this. Reducing density, making it massless, messing around with other properties, still no result. I had to come up with an alternative way. I added more gameplay that you have to speedrun through. But it's only 2 jumps and the pushbox is very lenient. So I guess players shouldn't have problems with set reading. Also, I really like the design of this exact part for some reason. Speaking of design, they should raise part limit to 10,000. I highly appreciate stuff for raising limit from 5,000 to 7,500. But I just feel like this still isn't enough for me. The tower is very filled and got a decent design on every obstacle. So I'm assuming by the time I finish building it, total part count will be 10 to 15,000. Anyways, I put X pusher at the end, and I have to push the box out with it instead. However, Yeah, that didn't work either. So yet again I had to replace it with something different. I thought I shouldn't mess with physics and make something normal instead. So I just put a normal button that turns off the wind. Much better. I wanted to add a wall glide that goes up after that, but I wasn't sure how to make a mechanism for it, so I had to struggle with it a bit. After 10 minutes it worked perfectly. And then I built the proper structures, experimenting with new style at the same time. You'll see my upgraded building style the second half, but for now my structures design is simple. I don't know what to say anymore, so just watch this meme over here.
Watch out, I got it. No, wait.
I added a barrier that blocks you from progressing if you let the pushbox from previous section press the button. But apparently you can cheat that by going fast enough. So I decided to leave this barrier for later. Then I started making a camera control jump with double jumps, since those are really fun. For sure everyone loved this, but that's definitely not a challenging difficulty. Instead of one, I put 2 double jumps there. And then I made another wall, with a platform on which you have to land. And of course, more unnecessary usage of Archimedes. And finally some additional design. Floor 5 is 95% done, and I just built the final jumps of it in one go. I added the glass wall here, one of the millions. The amount of ideas for jumps in my head was overflowing. Another wrap with Archimedes. I love making these. And to make this even more fun, I put these 2 poles that you have to avoid. I have ultimately locked in. Keep going, first half is almost finished. Another glass wall to prevent player from cheesing entirety of second layer. I got an idea to make the last jump of 5 a morpher that moves up, and you have to do a head hitter in time. However, I did some design before even adding a morpher. Post-scriptum, now I did, lol. And then I just put filler high jumps before the end of first half. Never mind, there's still one more jump to add. I just made a conveyor with no jump area. I mean, it can't be considered as a jump if that's a conveyor inside a no jump area. Let's just say I had to add one more walk before the first half is finished. And finally, it's over. Well no, actually it's not over yet. Second layer is a bit too empty, so I had to add filler structures. While I'm building structures, I want to share with my concerns about this tower in Zone 1B. I was looking through tower development channel, when I saw people were talking about the towers that are most likely to get in Zone 1B. Some people say that curators select towers by their quality and whether they are not too complex. I realized that my chances of getting it in Zone 1B are low in that case. But despite all this, finishing this tower is still important, so I need to keep going. Anyways, first hall is finally done after more than a year. Take a look at it. First hall is finished, and that means I'm 50% done. I decided to take a break from building it. And oh man, who knew that this break would last for 5 months? Yes, you heard it right. I haven't touched this tower for 5 months after finishing first half. You might think it's just my laziness and procrastination, and you're absolutely right if you thought so. But I had few other reasons why I haven't touched ToATM for a while. After I finished floor 5, I took a break from studio for like 1 or 2 months. I did that because I wanted to improve my skills in nobbing. I tried grinding TSP for fun, but I had a lot of devastating fails. But I ended up beating it after 18 days of playing it. Now that I beat the hardest cannon tower in the game, it's time to return to building? Nope. I did more and more catastrophics after that. I also all-jumped a bunch of nails, like 5 or 6 of them, including Citadel Void. After all that, I returned to studio, but I still haven't touched ToATM for a while. If you don't know, I am developer for CRP's fun game What the Heck Is This Tower? I had to help with Ring 5, so I couldn't do anything else before the release of the area. And also I am a developer for Ninja and Ocean's fun game Democratically Elected Towers of Hell. They wanted to release first area before a specific date, so all developers had to lock in. It took a while to build lobbies, but recently these areas have released. And that means I'm able to get back to building ToATM. Finally back to building tower. It's time for the matrix. I decided that second half will have a better decorated structures and a new wall design, which you will see later. I added a wall glide with a new design too. Also the gameplay in second half will be more fast-paced and unhinged, so it won't be too boring. For a feeling that you're inside the matrix, I put a huge pitch black bow mesh. It serves as a skybox. I also had a plan to make a transition to second half, where a bunch of pushboxes will fly with you. And as you enter the matrix, these pushboxes will become green. And it turned out exactly how I wanted it to be. So yeah, as I said, gameplay will be fast-paced, and I'm worried about that because it could be too complex for challenging. But we'll see. Here's the progress so far. But you know, something told me that this jump isn't crazy enough, so I extended it a bit. I did that by adding extra wraparound with extra disappearing platform. Yeah, and as expected, I surrounded everything with glass walls. Truly a tower of glass. Unlike in first half, I try varying the design of structures by making them with different parts, curions, etc. And that's definitely the reason why my part count is so high. I wanted to make a mini puzzle with zero gravity area, where you have to push the box by jumping so it flies up. That's a cool idea, but as usual, this happened. At this point I'm not messing around with physics. Physics are messing around with me. I made a different puzzle, but it wasn't as cool as it was intended to be. The gameplay was going good so far, but what about the atmosphere? It doesn't feel like you're inside the matrix at all. And so I started trying to make a new design for walls, so it doesn't look too dry. I made a black monitor with binary numbers switching constantly. I made them with beat blocks, but I had to do some changes to their script. And I was pretty much happy with the result. But wall design wouldn't be enough, so I needed to make something outside the frame. What came to my mind is adding binary code beams. After some adjustments, I just copy-pasted and scattered them everywhere. It looks so much more atmospheric. Then I considered adding a gravity button section. And now that I came up with new wall design, I'm going to use it everywhere. I'll be honest, I love the idea of it so much. And the jump is ready. This corner felt too empty, so I filled it with random structure. I forgot about the existence of float zones, so I must make a section with it. I made it so you ride the pushbox, then wrap around with double jump and return back to the pushbox. I added particles outside the frame and now it looks perfect. It's time for another super cool jump, mostly involving wall glides. You have to dismount off the first wall glide and double jump to the next one. And then you have to dismount to the zip line. After all that, you'll be faced with the flip swing. I'm not this evil, so I added a break between zipline and flip swing. Originally you were supposed to do flip swing midair right after the zipline. These binary numbers wall designs will be used a lot in future, so let's give them an official name. I'll be calling them binary walls. Yep, very stupidly unoriginal name, but let that sink in. And at the end of the flip swing I put a morph platform. I built another structure which is basically one wall that curves everywhere. I'm honestly not sure if the gameplay is entertaining enough compared to other in-game or whitelisted towers. But whether it is or not, I'm trying my hardest to make it as fun as possible. Anyways, I thought of making this jump, where you save your double jump, flip and then jump. I ended up removing it since that's way too hard for challenging difficulty. Instead, I built a stick out with double jump, which works well, so I'm keeping it. Then just wrap the gravity button and fly around the cylinder. And just a few more last jumps of first layer, so I built some simple jumps. I remembered about no jump areas, so I quickly added one here. I combined it with more platform, fairly simple usage of it. And right after I put a double jump and zipline that transfers you to the second layer. I feel so proud after finishing layers. It gives me a feeling that I'm closer and closer to finishing this. I wanted to start second layer with 2 spinners, but I felt like it wouldn't be right, so I deleted other spinner. I've been staring at this section for 20 minutes, thinking what I could add. But then finally a light bulb just went on in my head. And it went off in my room. I need to change it for a new one. So I put button at the end of the spinner, and then I have to backtrack to start off it with newly activated obstacles. You'll see teleport flip that transfers you to the next section. It's time to make another in one go type jump. I started it with a wraparound to zipline. But also need to make an anti-cheese walls, a good old tradition. Also you can see that I'm using bunch of unions, and you might ask, didn't they make a usage of them strict? Well yes, they did, but remember that this tower was started way back in May 2023, when this rule didn't exist. And they even directly asked curators. They told me this rule doesn't apply to me in that case. Continuing the jump, I add a double jump wrap to another zipline. If you play this tower, you might think it belongs to Zone 9. Because it's Zone 9, Singularity double jump T. Get it? LOL. And then my magnum opus, my best gameplay I've ever made. It is inspired by ToATM, so you can tell it's gonna be crazy. It is a certain sequence of jumps around the pole, disappearing platform and double jump. Here's the full jump. More decorative and anti-cheat structures before building next jump. I extended button activated gameplay a bit by like 2 jumps. I put a conveyor over there because this tower lags them. I made a supporting platform with Archimedes first, but then for some reason I decided to do it in simple way. After conveyor you have to double jump at the end. Also there's a bit block wall between conveyor and double jump. You have to time it correctly, something similar in Toka. Then there's a curvy truss, which you have to glide along. Of course done with my favorite Archimedes. But I really hate it when there's a Z fighting after making curvy structures. I added a zipline under the trusses and have to go down in order to progress. Then I built this weird looking structure, and I don't even know how to make it look okay. Also, if you have noticed, there barely are any puzzles. To be exact, literally not a single one. I'm thinking of making them frequent again, starting from floor 7. That probably isn't a good idea, but I decided to make a low roof gameplay here. I wanted to make it like a ToATM floor 9, but I refrained from making the roof tilted. Why would I even make a low roof gameplay in challenging tower? I tried decorating the top of the roof with wedges only, and let's say I could have done better. I love adding binary walls everywhere. Only few jumps left before floor 6 is done, and I want one of them to be ToATM type. Reincarnation of non-horizontal wall glides. And then I did this. Listen, I don't know either what I was trying to do with this Linga Guli Guli platform. And then basically a bit more of Wow, I somehow always manage to make the most questionable designs. When you don't know how to decorate, binary holes are here to save you. Sadly, the wall glide was broken if you touched it from this angle, so I had to change gameplay a bit. I made the position where you jump from much lower, and I have to do wrap instead. I've successfully adjusted the position of platform, and that will do. I have to tell you that the jump I'm building is very wild, wacky and wondrous. It's again a disappearing platform, double jump and button, but you do an 8-shaped jump instead, so that's cool. And then I added a super random and filler button activated gameplay, which leads you to the final section of floor 6. I wanted to make a circle with Archimedes, but it would be too part wasting. And so I made it with cylinder unions instead. The excitement of finally finishing this floor was crazy, so at this point I was making a random rushed gameplay. Like man, look at this, just a curvy pattern of disappearing platforms, with no jump area. And an absolutely unnecessary morph platform wraparound. I added an elevator, and with that being said, floor 6 is finally done. And that's it, the end of second episode. Unlike the first episode, you actually saw a building process. However, if you noticed, I covered only 2 floors. I promised to show floor 7 as well, but in that case this video would be 50 minutes long, and that's too much. I wanted this series to have 3 parts, but looks like there will be 4 episodes instead. Episode 3 will cover floors 7 and 8, while episode 4 floors 9 and 10. One last time I want to remind you to join the feedback thread in JToH server to follow updates and progresses. Thank you for watching this video, and I'm sorry if some commentaries were dry. I started this project as a fun, thinking I wouldn't even build it past floor 3. But looks like it has grown into something much bigger. Not only becoming my second attempt on trying to get my tower whitelisted, but also a new way of expressing myself in content creating. Well, join ToATM feedback thread to stay updated, and that's all I had to say. And if you're wondering, episode 3 probably comes out in February. Yet again, I'm very grateful for your attention, and have a good day.